Welcome back to the show, folks. This is the wrap-up, your daily dose of pop culture and movie news, hosted by me, Mr. H Reviews. On today's show, we'll be taking a look at Godzilla, King of the Monsters. The opening weekend results are in, whether this is a flop, whether Warner Bros. Are going to be happy with this, and just break it down, basically. Just discuss the whole thing, the wider narrative at play here. Because I think there's some misinformation that's been floating around, and it's important to take a look at the wider narrative. Then we'll be going full spoilers ahead for Terminator Dark Fate, because there's been a lot of leaks online about this film. A lot of stuff has come out, and we're going to go full spoilers. It's all rumour at this point in time, but it's full spoilers, or for the potential of full spoilers. If you want to skip right ahead, please do. There's some timestamps down below in the comment section and then in the description box. Guys, if you do like what I'm doing here on the show, please consider becoming a Patreon over on my Patreon page. You can see a link to that down below in the description box. But let's get right into it. So, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, it took a total of 179 million worldwide. Okay. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is a failure because all they are taking into account here is the domestic total, which is just the US. Okay, that's what people consider to be domestic total. That's not a failure. Okay, it's the lowest thus far, and it opened up against Aladdin. So there's a few things to really note here. I predicted it would make 100 million. Some people got misconstrued. This is where people got misconstrued. They thought that I said it would make 100 million just domestic. It's not what I meant. When I'm talking about the numbers, I take into account the worldwide. I'm not domestic. I'm not in the States. I'm taking a look at the worldwide gross. So I estimate, I thought it would make 100 million. Of course it was going to make 100 million. And it did make 100 million. It made just shy of 50 million domestic. But why is this important? Why is this something that we take such stock in when we're talking domestic? The States used to be a huge market for movies. Absolutely massive market for movies. Really, really, really big. But it's not actually the make or break for films anymore. A lot of people seem to be forgetting, especially because, you know, it's rising to prominence now. But China and Japan, China especially, is one of the biggest markets going. And in China, I believe, anyway, I don't think they have the full figures down here, as far as I'm aware. But if I can just take a look at this. So China, no, okay. So China, it doesn't have the full figures for China. But if I remember rightly from a report which I read, it actually made more money in China than it did in the States. I believe, and again, don't quote me on this, but I believe it made about 70 odd million in China alone, which is huge. That is massive. It might not have cracked the domestic market. Of course, yeah, it might not have at all, but it's cracked the overseas market. So when we're starting to talk about this being a flop, you've got to really take a look at all these articles that are coming out. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's a flop because it didn't do domestically well. Stop. Terminator, World of Warcraft, for instance, was saved by the worldwide box office. There's so many movies nowadays which are saved by grossing worldwide totals. And is this what, could this have been better? Yeah, of course it could have been better. Absolutely. Undoubtedly it could have been better. But the issue is at hand here is whether it's considered a flop or not. I think Warner Bros. Would be happy with this. You got to take into account here, it's opened up against quite large properties. So Aladdin, for instance, that's a big property. It's a big Disney property. It rides on nostalgia. And it's a different market to Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So, I think they would be happy with this. I don't think they would consider this an out-and-out flop. Now, I spoke about this on this Saturday show of the wrap-up and discussed how I think it will have some legs in the UK, mainly because it was considered like a holiday, so children were off on school. They weren't at school. However, this weekend in the UK, you probably tell I'm somewhat pink. It was red hot in the UK. So I don't think anyone was staying inside, and I don't think anyone was going to go and watch movies this weekend. So I would like to think that because of that, and the fact that, it's now getting such good word of mouth, because it is, the audience score is insane for this movie. Godzilla fans love it. Normal fans love it. Normal audiences are really enjoying it. Yes, it has its issues, but people really, really like this film. And it is a Godzilla fan's dream. But I think because of that, and the fact that, it is doing so well, such good word of mouth. I think it will have some legs. I genuinely do. And yeah, like I said, it might not have cracked the domestic total, but it's not the be all and end all of movies. People really do seem to forget this. When you're outside of the bubble of the United States, like I am, you start to think about the wider box office at play here. Domestic, realistically, is a tiny portion. A very, very tiny portion. And if you don't believe me, the likes of Marvel have shot very specific end sequences to their films just for the Chinese market. Just for the Chinese market. That is the only market that they will do that for. They will shoot complete new endings of films for the Chinese market. That is how big and lucrative that market is. So, yeah, I mean, 179 million in total. I think that's it's all right. It's the lowest in the Monsterverse thus far, and that's not good by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that's pretty good, all things considered, going up against Aladdin. A lot of people have been thinking that there's some properties that are coming out that will impact this film, like X-Men, Dark Phoenix. I don't think anyone's really that bothered about X-Men. I think people will probably go and watch it. But if they wanted to see something again and they really liked Godzilla, they would probably just watch Godzilla again. I don't think X-Men will really detract that much from it. X-Men doesn't have the draw that it used to. Certainly not Dark Phoenix, because that's been an absolute shit show. So I think this is quite good news, to be perfectly honest. But I'd like to hear your thoughts. A lot of people said I was out and out wrong. I don't understand box offices and all this kind of stuff. Well, look, it's number one at the box office this weekend. Okay, it cracked 100 million worldwide, like I said it would. I still think this is good. I just don't think you guys, you shouldn't put too much stock in just the domestic total. Because if it's cracking way more overseas, then you have to start to take notice of those, that box office market, because that's really important. So I'll hand it over to you. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know down below in the comment section. And as with all of these topics, please do let me know your thoughts. So let's skip right ahead. Terminator Dark Fate. Yeah, this is all an aggregated website, and yes, this is all compiled together. I actually can't find the original source of this because it is scattered around the web. There's bits on Reddit here and there. There's an awful lot just scattered around the web. But there's an awful lot that have come out about this. And like I say, full spoilers ahead for this. Really, really full spoilers ahead. You've been warned. I warned you at the start. We're getting into it. So, it says, according to multiple outlets, some huge new details from recent test screenings have leaked. So this is all from test screenings. And they reveal that the story takes place shortly after the events of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. People are not going to be happy with this. I'm telling you now. It opens shortly after Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And John Connor gets killed. Straight away. He's dead. That's why there's no John Connor. So apparently it opens roughly in a bar in Mexico. Or some, desert-looking area. T-800 comes in. Bang. Dead. Gone. Bye, John. No more. So it states that we've known for a while that Dark Fate would ignore the third, fourth, and fifth installments of the franchise. And it said that after their defeat in the second movie, Skynet is well and truly gone. So that's the interesting thing. Basically, there's some alternate timelines going on here. They've changed it so much that is now not the future. Skynet is not the future. Apparently, Skynet has been replaced by a group called Legion. And they send a new Terminator back to kill John Connor, character who is in the movie, but not for long. So basically, he's dead in the opening act. He's shot as a child. He's killed as a child. There's some de-aging on Linda Hamilton's face. And that is the opening of the film. That's why we don't see John Connor. There you go. No more Skynet. It's interesting. I think it'll really irritate people, but it's an interesting way to go to remove John Connor. Arguably, a character who is somewhat interesting here and there, but by and large hasn't really done that much. So it's a good way to remove a character if they're looking to push this forward to a newer audience. And that's the thing to kind of note here. This isn't for us. This isn't for Terminator fans per se. It is for a newer audience. Whether that is of detriment to the film, we don't know. But it says, once he's been dealt with, Danny Ramos, so Natalia Ray's character, is actually the new savior of the world. So she becomes the target of Rev 9, the advanced Terminator, which is played by Gabriel Luna. So Rev 9 is the Terminator designation. So sent back to take her out, and then another resistance group rises to combat Legion in the future, and they're the ones who send back Grace, which is Mackenzie Davis's character, the one in the tank top here. So it all sounds very Terminator, blah 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 blah. So yeah, the thought process here is that we're talking all about AIs, and it's not so much, it's not so much about just AI. It's about integration of AIs with humans. That's why it's called Legion. So it's not Skynet, it's Legion now. Apparently as well, Linda Hamilton takes the T-800, which is him. He is a T-800 apparently in the film. Linda Hamilton takes him and reprograms him after he kills John Connor. So that's why he's still here. So there is another one that's been sent back. Because a lot of people thought, well, why is he in this again? If, they stop Judgment Day, what's going on? They're all dead, right? So, interesting way of doing it. Not overly sure if I, agree with it all. But it's an interesting way of doing things with respect to kind of moving it forwards. I do hazard a guess they'll probably... The thing is, if they kill Arnold Schwarzenegger in this film, it doesn't really matter. They can bring him back de-aged CG, who cares? But the fact we're just passing it to a new threat is kind of... falling into the trap of the remakes, reboots that have been going on a while now. They'll just change something and title it, a reboot. This is basically the same goddamn film. Basically the same film. New threat. Somewhat different Terminators. I'm looking forward to it. Just, there's some nostalgia here for me for Linda Hamilton. Not overly much with Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore. I do feel with Arnold Schwarzenegger, we've seen him in this role a lot. But we haven't seen Linda Hamilton. So it's good to see her back. I don't know. I will watch this opening weekend with some bated breath. But there you go. That's the leaks. What do you think? John Connor, bang, dead. Opening act. What do you think to that? Linda Hamilton, reprogramming Arnie T-800. What do you think to that? And Legion, an AI-based, integrated version of Skynet. What do you think to that? Let me know down below in the comments section. Now, there's just a quick bit of news now. We have confirmation from Matt Reeves. This is Matt Reeves' Twitter. That Robert Pattinson is the Batman, basically. I mean, he's taken to Twitter to confirm this out, 3 hours ago. So he's definitely the Batman. Confirmed. I think they're just, as far as I'm aware, I think they are literally just getting it down. Little sequel deals, things like that. Just the fine prints of stuff. The merchandise. Just money. It's just financing, basically. So he's confirmed he is going to be there. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. That wraps it up here for me. We don't have any viewer questions today, but if you want your viewer questions answered on the show, please do submit them. mrhreviews@gmail.com using the subject line, The Wrap Up. But I asked, like I said, I hand it over to you guys. What do you think to any and all of this news? I'd love to hear it down below in the comment section. If you are new here, smash that subscribe button and hit that bell notification to be notified of this, your daily show, the daily wrap-up of pop culture and movie news. It's Monday. There might be some more stuff breaking. So during the day, if there is some more things, I will bring you a special wrap-up episode. But guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been Mr. H. Take care.